Hey guys, it's your girl Lisa. I'm back with another video. Today I would like to speak a little bit with you guys about anxiety and depression. As I have mentioned in other videos, I am very passionate about mental health education and awareness. So I decided that I was going to do probably just a few, like a mini series on mental health disorders and illnesses, starting with anxiety and depression, as it is the one that I have been diagnosed with and have the most experience with for a couple of years now. Please excuse me. I know I do still sound raspy, and that is because this flu it has had me in a chokehold for the entire week. This started since last Sunday. It's Saturday night, and I am still feeling like I'm still feeling crappy. But I made a commitment to be more consistent with my YouTube channel, so this is why I decided to just keep it moving. I've been in bed pretty much the entire week, but I decided I'm gonna get up and I think this is the second video that I'm actually making recording since I got the flu. So it's just me holding myself accountable and just pushing through. So please bear with me and please show me some grace while I do this. So just to give you guys a little backstory on my journey so far with anxiety and depression, back in January of 2015, I was already in bed. Lani was already asleep, and while asleep, I started to feel really, really hot. And for some reason, in that moment, I was also feeling cold. And I realized that my chest was tightening. I was beginning to have shortness of breath. I was having heart palpitations, and I just had this overwhelming feeling like I was dying. And I got right out of bed. I started screaming. Honestly, I can't remember what hour of the morning it was, but I started screaming. And then my neighbor actually called on the phone and asked if I was okay, because they could actually hear me screaming. And I said, no, I need help. I feel like, I'm dying here, and it's just Leilani and I. So they came over, took me to the clinic, and I got checked out by one of the nurses there. So she proceeded to ask me, a few questions in regards to just how I've been doing in terms of, handling being a single mom, and, just all of these questions. And eventually she told me that I was, having an anxiety attack, because she had checked my vitals and everything. She said all of those things were normal. There was no issue with any of that, but that I was actually having an anxiety attack. So this was just the start of a very long journey for me. Over the next couple of months, I was in and out of the clinic, going in, just to get, checkups, because I wasn't feeling like myself. I started to feel, very strange. I did not like being at my house anymore. It was very uncomfortable for me being there. And so at one point, I think a couple months down the road, I actually had to move out, and I moved back in with my grandmother, because I just didn't feel comfortable being in the house alone with Lani, considering that most of the times I actually did get an anxiety attack was at nights when it's just Lani and I alone home. So after some time going, to the clinic, I developed, I think it was acid reflux. I had some other, health issues that came up, and so with the anxiety and depression, there was nothing really that the doctor at the clinic could do for me. So at one point, she had to refer me to the psychiatric unit, which is what it's called back home in Dominica, and I had to see a counselor, therapist, yeah, that person. And for a year, I was basically admitted there, but it wasn't a situation where I was physically admitted for an entire year. It was more a situation where every month I had to go in for checkups and evaluation, all of that stuff. Over that year, I developed insomnia, and also I had loss of appetite, so I lost a lot of weight. And I didn't really notice that I had lost so much weight until I remember I had ordered a dress, and I had asked Lani to take a photo. And looking back, when I saw the photo, I could see the veins. I mean, I still do have like really veiny hands, but the veins were really popping like on my hands. Like I was really, really skinny. My collarbone was like really sticking out. I was just really, really skinny. I could not believe just how small I was at that point. Now, one of the things that actually happened, me going in for evaluations there for that year, I was then put on medication. While I was going to the clinic before having been referred to the psychiatric unit, I was having to take Valium shots every now and then whenever I really needed it. So by the time I got to the psychiatric unit, I was like on full meds. But one of the things about living in the Caribbean and when it comes to mental health, there's a lot of stigma around it, and a lot of people seem to believe that if you take the medication, that it's gonna really make you crazy. So a lot of people, even in my family, were discouraging me from taking the meds. But the thing is, while they're doing that, they're telling me what not to do. No one is really telling me what to do that could actually help me feel better. So by the time I got off the medication, because of course I listened to them, and then I got back on, my body had to, kind of like go through that process of getting, adjusted, to it again, accustomed to it. And sometimes I'd go through horrible withdrawals. Like I'd be twitching, I would have really bad headaches. It was a mess. It was really, really crazy. So, anyways, um, I really, over the years, struggled with it, but um, to be honest, now I haven't really been having any issues with it. At one point, the doctor did tell me, hey, you may be on this medication for the rest of your life. But thank God, like, God is so good. I am no longer taking meds. It's been probably 6 years now since I haven't been taking any medication for my anxiety and depression. Oh, and yes, I was diagnosed with mixed anxiety and depression. So you can actually suffer from both at the same time. So I basically created this video just to share some more information on my personal experience with anxiety and depression, and also just my own research, what the information that I found while I was doing research. So I wanted to just share that with you. According to the Mayo Clinic, anxiety and depression affects more than 40 million adults in the US. Now, guys, please, I do not want you guys to believe that it's only affecting adults. This disorder also affects children and teens. So in another video that I'm gonna share later on, we're gonna be debunking some of the myths around mental health illnesses and disorders. So we will talk a little bit about that later on. Um, but just some common anxiety disorders include things like specific phobias, and those could be related to animals like spiders, and I think it's called arachnophobia. Other animals like cats and dogs. There's also phobias related to the natural environment, such as people who have fear of heights, people who have fears of maybe natural disasters like storms and so forth. Also enclosed spaces, being in water, and for of course people who have fears of needles. There's also the social anxiety disorder, which is the fear of being around other people or social situations. I do know of one person back home who actually suffers from social anxiety disorder. There's also the generalized anxiety disorder, which is along the lines more of what I've had. It's an overall worry of many different things. So it's not just one specific thing, it's just a range of different things. There's also separation anxiety disorder, which is an overall worry of, no, I'm sorry, separation anxiety, which is excessive fear of or anxiety concerning separation from attachment figures or items. So just think about someone who hoards. You see in the videos that these people, by the time the intervention people come in to clean up, they're having almost like a panic attack because they've been attached to whatever, the items are in their homes for so long that now they're being taken away from them. you know they are having anxiety because of it. Guys, please bear with me. I do have my information down, and then of course my throat. So I am trying to just go through so I can be done. Not that I'm trying to rush, but my throat is beginning to kill me because this flu is not easy. But just moving along, we do have the panic disorders, and again, that's something that I am very familiar with. Panic disorders are basically an abrupt surge of intense fear or discomfort. Now, when we speak about the depressive disorders, the most common ones are major depressive disorder. So, this is a depressed mood which may last for a couple of weeks, and it can basically occur a few days, or it could be a recurring episode. Then we have the persistent depressive disorder, which is a depressed mood which may occur almost every day for a few years. So those are just some of the common anxiety disorders and the common depressive disorders. Now, in terms of uh, what causes anxiety and depression, because I know a lot of people may ask, well, what causes it? Because one of the things that I dealt with back home was, um, and I'm sorry to say, there may be some family members who may be looking at this and may be like, this may rub you the wrong way. It's still all love, but I really understand when you're unfamiliar with something, when we're unfamiliar with something, we tend to point the finger or cast judgment. And especially with mental health or just health in general, we should really make more of a conscious effort to not do that, because if you've never been in a situation, it's really hard for you to relate. And yes, it's easy for you to point fingers, but it does not help the other person who's actually going through it. So what causes anxiety and depression? It could be genetics. So someone in your family may have had some mental health issue before, or like the anxiety and depression, and you're suffering from it, because you got it from genetics. There's also, like we mentioned before, environmental exposure. So if you are afraid of heights and you're in a situation where you're somewhere that's really, you're in a very tall building or whatever, that in itself can cause you to become anxious. Another thing is personality, just, your overall personality. You may be someone who worry a lot, and over time, it's just now beginning to affect you. Another one is life events. I mean, so many things can happen, and so many things have been happening. There are a lot of people out there who are suffering in silence, and we just don't know. They may have had, a loss of a family member, a loved one. They may have been abused. You don't know. So all of these things can actually lead to anxiety and depression. So some of the signs of anxiety and depression that you should probably look for are like avoidance of things that were once enjoyed. There will be shakiness, increased heart rate, tightness in the chest, like I mentioned, rapid breathing, racing thoughts, isolation, frequent negative thoughts, recurring feelings of sadness. So again, guys, like I mentioned, if there is someone that you've noticed is no longer coming around, they're not really doing the things that they've always enjoyed doing, they seem a bit more sad, instead of pointing the finger or making jokes about certain things, just take the time and ask a question like, hey, what's really going on with you? Or just let the person know, I'm here if you need someone to talk to. No matter what it is that you're going through, I'm here for you. It really doesn't hurt just to be supportive. If you don't have anything nice to say, it would be best to just keep quiet, because people who are actually suffering from anxiety and depression, it's so easy for them to actually be broken down even more than they are already. So be very mindful of the things that you're saying to others, because you don't know what exactly it is that they're dealing with in private when no one is there. So just keep that in mind. So some of the advanced signs of generalized anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder would include restlessness, fatigue, irritability, difficulty concentrating, muscle tension, sleep disturbances, excessive worry, distress, impairment in social, occupational, or other important functions. So, like I said, you may see that these people are no longer, taking part in the events that they used to. They're probably struggling at work because they can no longer focus. They just have so many things going on. They're constantly having to deal with this battle in their mind. If you too are experiencing those things, just be a bit more conscious of it. Try to look at what's going on around you and just ask yourself, hey, what's really going on. Do I need to step back a bit? Just pay attention so you can see the signs. It's really easy when someone is no longer here to be like, oh, if I knew, I would have been more nice. If I knew, I would have asked this question. If I knew, I would have shown more love. It's too late at that point. And it's happening way too much. These things, we're losing way too many people because people are feeling like they don't have the help, they don't have the support, so they're resorting to a decision that probably could have been avoided if they had the support that they needed. So coping with anxiety and depression, basically, like I said, you can challenge your thoughts. You basically can ask yourself questions. What am I feeling? What are these emotions that I'm feeling? Try to practice mindfulness. If there is something that in your childhood that happened that you really enjoyed, maybe it was a vacation, or it was a school trip, field trip, and that really made you happy. If there's a happy place that you can go to in your mind, I remember this one girl gave her testimony, and she said every time that she felt like she was going into that place where she was worrying and all these thoughts were going on in her mind, she would take herself on a trip to a field filled with flowers, and she would just run with her arms spread out, and she'd just run, her eyes closed, and just run in this field. It was her happy place. So if that's something that you can do, just think back on something that brings happy memories, then take yourself there. That way you're blocking out the negative thoughts that are coming and all the worry. It's something that I have taught myself how to do, because to this day I still do struggle to fall asleep because I'm constantly bombarded by all these thoughts right when I lay my head down on the pillow. So I'm always trying to take myself to a place where I remember being very happy, so I can actually just rest and be able to fall asleep. So another thing that you can actually do to cope with anxiety and depression is to exercise regularly. And it doesn't mean that you have to do anything, extreme. It could just be going for a walk. If you're someone who loves to swim, maybe you could just go for a swim, or you could go ride your bike. Just something light. It doesn't really have to be something, you go to the gym and you're lifting crazy weights or anything like that. No, it can just be the simplest, thing that you would normally enjoy. You could do that just to take yourself out of, the environment that you're in at that point that's actually causing you to think so much or to worry so much. Just go for a walk, go enjoy nature, take in some fresh air, just do something like that. Another thing is deep breathing. I did have to teach myself how to breathe properly, because sometimes, when I'm right in the middle of an anxiety attack, one of the things that actually helped calm me down was knowing that, okay, now I have to focus on my breathing instead of worrying about whatever it is that got me anxious in the first place. And mind you guys, a lot of the time I would be experiencing like anxiety attacks, and I can't to this day tell you what actually led to that, or what triggered the anxiety attack. I don't know. It would just come out from nowhere at random moments. I'd just be doing my everyday daily routine, and there go, boom, I'm having an anxiety attack. So if you could actually practice, there are different techniques for deep breathing that you could, probably look up online and just teach yourself how to do those. It takes your mind off of whatever else is going on, and you now have something else that's more positive to focus on. Another thing that you can do to cope is to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So just maybe changing, your diet, getting more rest, making more time for you. If it's, maybe getting a massage, if it's once a month or once every 2 months, just whatever it is that you can do for your own self-care, just taking care of you. And one of the most important things is really finding support. I cannot express how important it is to have support when you are dealing with anxiety and depression. For me, I had I had a very small support system, but I did have one particular person who was in my corner. I will not say who because I don't want to get myself in any problems, but I did have one particular person who was there with me through it, almost through it all. And even the day that I was discharged from the psychiatric unit, this person was physically present with me. So I remember when I really started to gain weight, I started, to smile more, like I had more things to be happy about. Co-workers of mine actually mentioned it, and they said, this is a really good situation for you because we can see that, you're happy, you're smiling more, you're a bit more, you just have, a brighter aura about you. So it's really important to have a support system, and that could be in the form of your pastor, your church community. I know sometimes it's hard to find that in churches these days, but there are probably still a few people that you can reach out to if you are someone who do go to church. You may have like your counselor at school, maybe a spouse. Just find that person that you can actually, look for the support that you need from. Now, keeping all of these things in mind, guys, if it ever gets to a point where you are having thoughts of self-harm or harming others, or just it's becoming very difficult for you to continue with your daily activities, like getting out of bed and all of that stuff, it's really time to seek professional help. Do not wait, do not sit by and say, it's gonna get better, I will deal with it on my own, I will figure it out. No, get help. Go seek professional help. And you can do that by, doing a little bit of research online. There are resources online, there are counselors, your doctor. There are resources out there. There is help. Do not wait. Do not sit by and just think that it's going to get better without help. It won't. You do need to. Now, in addition to the professional help that I did get, another thing that really helped me was just my my faith in God, and just that relationship that I had with Him at that time. I started looking up scripture verses based on, like mental health and wellness and all of that, just, to help me. And I would recite these at nights, like I would say it out loud before bed so that I could actually hear myself, and those would actually help to quiet me down so that I could actually fall asleep. And I actually wrote a few of them here that I would like to share with you. Guys, I'm struggling, but I am continuing because let me tell you, I made a commitment. So the first one is from Second Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, which says, "For God have not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." So this one is a very powerful one, and it still is one of my favorite passages of scripture when it comes to just my health, my mental health, and my overall well-being. Another passage of scripture comes from Psalms. In the Caribbean, regardless of what it is that we're going through, I can always remember that, my parents, grandparents will always say, read your Psalms, read your Psalms. So we have one from Psalms chapter 34, verse 18, which says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Then we have Psalm 73:26, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Galatians 6:2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the laws of Christ." Guys, this is so powerful, and this is why I stress, please be there for the people that you love. Show them the support and the love that they need now. Don't wait later on. God forbid anything happens, they make a decision that they cannot go back and change. Then we're going to look back and we're going to say, if only I knew, I would have been nicer, I would have been more supportive. No, let's support each other now. Another one is from Philippians chapter 4, verses 6 to 7. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything." I'll read that again. "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, in every situation, present your request to God." Make your request known unto God. And I know, guys, it's sometimes hard for us to really do that. I struggle with it myself. I'm not the most perfect person out there, but really and truly, we can take God at His word, because I'm telling you, in addition to everything else, I think it was, just God who took me out of that situation. He's the one who carried me through. Had it not been for Him, I cannot tell you, where I would be today. So please, guys, you can always, I will leave these in the description below if you do want to make reference to it. You guys can get it there. There's just one last one, which comes from the book of Matthew chapter 11, verses 28 to 30, which reads, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." So guys, I just wanted to leave this with you. Like I mentioned, I'm really sorry for maybe the little hiccups in the video. I hope you guys can understand. I am still battling the flu. I'm not a licensed practitioner. I am just someone who cares. I am very passionate about this type of stuff, and I just want to share the information that I have gotten based on my own research, and I'm giving it to you also in addition to my own experiences with having mixed anxiety and depression for the last couple of years. So guys, I will wrap it up here, and I hope that this video helps someone, and I will see you guys in the next one.